Positive thinking is a really fantastic thing to do. It's a great exercise. It's a great practice. It's a great spiritual practice. It's a great practical practice. There's a lot of benefits to positive thinking. And it's something that's very much in the mainstream. Wellness, spiritual, personal improvement circles, manifestation talks, and just kind of character development, schools of thought. And so, and it gets taken different ways. It gets taken like, positive thinking is delusional, and it's, you're going to be taken advantage of, or you're not going to, you're not being real, you're not being realistic, you're just, and you are what? You're suppressing your actual emotions and your actual opinions about circumstances and events by saying like, oh, my father just died. It's all perfection. It's the circle of life. I'm not sad. And you're pushing it down. So like that can be one like misapplication of positive thinking. I don't want to talk about positive thinking too much. What I want to do is talk about what it's not. And what it's not is, what it is thinking. And thinking is an activity that is mind-based. And in spirituality and as spiritual practitioners, just people, devoted to spiritual growth, one of the things that we understand, and especially for folks like myself who think a lot about life and what I fucking said at the, social gathering and how it was perceived, or, just like what I'm gonna eat next. I just do a lot of, my mind is going a lot, but I'm also devoted to spiritual growth, so I think about spiritual growth a lot, and I have a lot of negative thoughts and a lot of positive thoughts, and I recognize a lot of the things that are holding me back spiritually, and I'm like, well, I want those to be, I want to be free from those. I want to let those go. So I want to be able to just objectively identify, okay, that's negative, I'll let that go. And objectively be like, okay, this is a positive thought structure that I'm habitual, reoccurring thought structure that I have. Back to my fucking point is that positive thinking and training your mind to think positively is absolutely effective and amazing and powerful, and will open doors. It will have you noticing opportunities. It will have you being more grateful. It'll have you recognizing the beauty around the world, and just it's right in front of you, like that is there. And if you have this kind of negative thinking, you're not going to notice you're not going to smell the roses. So positive thinking is what it is something that will open you up to all those things. It'll put those good things, those positive things on your radar. It'll bring more positive things into your life. Okay, all this to say, I just listed some kind of negative manifestations in the practice of positive thinking, and some positive ones. I just want to point out one of my thoughts about this is what it's not, and it's not consciousness. Positive thinking is not more conscious than negative thinking, necessarily. That said, it can be a habit that can put you in a mindset where your mind is in a place that is more available to not prevent you from abiding within your consciousness. What I'm saying is that whether you're thinking positively or whether you're thinking negatively, that is thinking. And thinking is an activity that our human bodies are able to do, and it requires consciousness to be perceived, because our thoughts can't be perceived by other people, maybe like through my facial, and maybe our throat is kind of moving in a way that is similar to how our thoughts are going through our head, maybe, but for the most part it's undetectable what we're thinking. The only thing that perceives our thoughts is our consciousness. So consciousness is directly linked to thought, just like consciousness is arguably directly linked to everything in existence. But thinking, whether positive or negative, is not conscious. And the reason that this is important is because what we can slip into is this delusion, this misunderstanding of spiritual growth and spiritual work and character development, self-improvement, which is that if I'm thinking negatively, if my thoughts are negative, then I'm not doing a good job. And while it's absolutely true that on the level of mind and thoughts, like, yeah, it'd be better to think positive, definitely. But if your thoughts are negative, that should almost be a greater incentive to have a desire to extract your consciousness from the realm of thought and have it abide in the realm of the higher self, the seat of awareness within yourself. That is consciousness, and that is what spirituality is going for, is to not be wrapped up in thought, to not be wrapped up in emotion, to not be wrapped up in prestige, and to not be wrapped up in lust or attachment to another person, and to not be wrapped up in the stresses of paying the bills and just like, the tax people are going to come, that fear. And what I just listed there are chakras. Root chakra is security. The second chakra is sex and creative energy. The third chakra is orientation in the world and position in the community. The fourth chakra is love and anger and every emotional power. And you can also get stuck between the fifth and sixth chakra, which is a common one for me, which is, fifth and sixth chakra together talk or put into words thoughts, from the kind of pineal gland, the sixth chakra here. This is where you have the option in your sixth chakra to connect with the crown chakra. It's the crown because it's kind of kings are like gods, and you can think of your crown chakra, which exists not actually in the human body, but slightly above the human body, where a crown would sit, and a crown symbolizes a man among men who is revered as a god. So our crown chakra is you could think of it as the part of our mind that is connected through intuition and reaches up to what you would talk about, the heaven, or a realm of infinite wisdom that can bring us, inspiration and guidance in our life. The sixth chakra is also directly, above, and so directly next to the fifth chakra, which is communication, words, expression. So, like right now, I think, shortly before this, I had an intuition, and I was like, you know what, I should express this in the form of words on a video. And this all kind of decided from this place, which is, if you ask someone, if you ask yourself, where am I? You'll probably think you're right here. If you really try to where am I? It's probably going to be right there. So the sixth chakra, or the third eye, is what most people identify as I, the location of I. It's between the eyes, it's a little bit above the eyes, so it kind of has to do with the mind as well. And we call it an eye because it can perceive. And again, it's here, so it perceives what the crown chakra kind of has to say. I got way off track onto chakras, and by the way, I'm just making this shit up. I don't really know. I didn't research this, but apparently, and it's been my experience that, and of course, I've read about chakras and I've wanted to learn them, but most of this I just get from my life experience and from feeling where my energy is. So I'm not claiming to know a lot about this. If you're someone who knows about chakras and you're watching this, you might say that I'm incorrect in a lot of what I'm saying, and you might be right, because there's no bibliography here. Mostly making it up. Anyway, back to my point. Positive, negative thinking. Since I was little, since I grew up, my mom told me about when I was little, I'd have what's called intrusive thoughts. I'm not sure that I ever told her what they were. Maybe I did. Either way, I asked her, according to her, Mom, why did I have that bad thought? And does that mean I'm a bad person? And she said, no, honey, that is just your mind calculating the options of what you can do, and some of the things you can do are bad, and some of the things you can do are good. So that's why your mind mentions bad things, because they're one of the options. They're a possibility. And so, my personal experience is I've always loved exploring and just getting into things. And lately, I just love exploring my mind and my psychology. And I'm still that kid who, has that dark side, like that those negative thoughts, those bad thoughts, and the positive ones, And over the course of the day, I might get real positive and I might get real dark. And that happens. My mind does that. Okay, here was the intuition, and just the important message that I just want to teach myself and solidify by sharing it with other people. That's the purpose of this channel. For me, is just to, when I have thoughts, just express them and get them down and out of my head into a platform where they can be shared. And that way they just don't float away in the wind. Not that I'm going to rewatch these videos, but I just feel like expressing it and sharing it just solidifies it, and it makes it easier for me to remember and not lose when I have a nice inspiration. Okay, so the inspiration that I had, the intuitive thought that I just had was that it's a mistake to, when having negative thoughts, think that I'm bad for having that, or shit, I really shouldn't have had that. I really want to train my mind not to be negative. No, I believe now that it's far superior to when I'm thinking negative. If I have some stupid thought or a prideful thought, like I walk into a room and I'm like, my mind says, I'm better than all these people. The mind training, on the mind training level where you're just trying to think positive, it's like, or maybe you're like, all these people are better than me. I hope I can stay disguised and no one finds out that I'm not as cool as the other people here. Regardless of whether it's that or it's like, what am I even doing here? I'm so much better than all these people. That is that is a part of the ego, just making an image of myself which is in comparison to others, either worse than or better than. And so when that happens, I'm at a place in my life where when something like that happens and I observe my mind kind of being immature and being egoic like that, I'm still at a place where my first inclination is to kind of give myself a spanking and kind of be like, don't have that thought. I don't want to have that thought. And so what I'm what I'm currently working on is just backing up and be like, okay, that's what my mind is doing. probably not a useful thought, but let me back up into consciousness, because there is the mind and there is consciousness, and this is what I'm working on, really selling myself on in a deep way, is that I'm not just a conglomeration of memories and thoughts, that I have this thing inside me, that is ineffable and impossible to define. That's why we have so much trouble with it and we tend to lose it, is because it can't be put into words sufficiently, but it is an extension of God or source of the infinite, and it is consciousness, and it is inside me, and it is what uses my mind and what perceives what my mind is up to, and it has the ability to be. It doesn't tend to possess me. My consciousness itself seems to be the thing that gets possessed by my mind. If I'm getting stuck up in my head overthinking, or possessed by my heart, if I'm just met a woman and I'm like, oh my God, I think she's the one, or it's like, the fear can be in the heart too, where I hope that the taxes don't, I lose my house or whatever. That consciousness tends to be the thing that gets possessed by these different activities of the human experience, the emotion or the thoughts. But it itself, I'm working on selling myself on the truth that consciousness is a thing that I have the ability to have it not possessed, to have it be independently abided in, to just be my consciousness. And that doesn't mean not thinking. That means I'm thinking and I'm feeling, and my consciousness itself is up here, is in a high place, and hasn't been lost in my head, and hasn't been lost into my heart, or hasn't been lost into my job, or any of the other energetic centers in the body. So it's my point. The whole point I'm trying to say is that it's true that whether you're thinking positively or you're thinking negatively, or you're having a good feeling or a bad feeling, or you have a come up and you make a bunch of money in crypto and your bank account's like on fire, or you lose everything and you go into debt, whatever's going on and these energy centers are reacting to it, you're always able to exercise the practice of extracting consciousness from the possession of that energy center and abiding within it. And I think that's heaven. And that's what Christ meant when he said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Because I think that there is God, and God is like this octopus that has these tentacles, and a tentacle stretches into every bit of matter and every being and creature and plant in the universe. And God is consciousness, and those tentacles extend into all of us, and I am one of those tentacles. And I am consciousness, and that consciousness is within me. And there is my mind and my heart and my ambition. There's all these energy centers, and there is this consciousness. And the consciousness is the kingdom of heaven, and it's within me, and I can always be in it. So it's not to say don't think positively, and it's not to say don't deny or pretend that there's nothing wrong with thinking negatively. It's just that thinking more positively is not necessarily being more conscious, and thinking more negatively is not necessarily being less conscious. Instead, it's that when I am less conscious, what I mean to say is that my consciousness itself is less secure and more likely to be sucked into one of the chakras, or one or several of the chakras, and to not be abiding within itself, which is this place of peace and heaven and infinite wisdom. and intuition, which is always available. So that's what I want to say, and I hope that made sense. Check you later.